Welcome back to The Watchman. Since 1952, Turkey has been a member of NATO, along with the United States and European nations. Yet under the rule of Islamist strongman Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey has gone from NATO ally to something more like NINO, NATO in name only. We headed to Iraq's border with Turkey to hear from our good friend Dalton Thomas about why you should be concerned about the rise of Erdogan. Well, Dalton, we are on the Iraq-Turkey border. First of all, what a view. This is absolutely stunning. But we're here for a reason. We have a not-so-pleasant actor right over the border here in Turkey in President Erdogan. Give us your view of what's going on in the region.
The best way to explain it is by explaining the geography where we are right now. Just over these mountains here is the border of Iran, and just over these mountains here is the border of Turkey. And then if you drive a few hours, you're at the border of Syria, where a now 8-year civil war is raging. And so you could say in many ways the Kurds are surrounded by jihad and by genocide. And if we look at the historical continuum of suffering that they've endured, you begin to ask the question, is their suffering finished, or will they face another round in the future? And I think in light of the Ayatollahs, I think in light of the Iranian regime and in light of the Turkish regime, these mountains here for the last number of years have been lit up with airstrikes on a weekly basis, indiscriminate airstrikes from the Turkish regime, shelling, artillery shelling in communities. And they're doing it in the name of fighting terror. But the reality is, I think Erdogan's regime is closer to actually being the manifestation of terror than the people that he's actually terrorizing. And so now Erdogan's saying we want to eliminate the terror corridor. What he means is we're going to eliminate the Kurdish forces that eliminated the terror corridor. What was the terror corridor? It was the Islamic State. It was ISIS. The Caliphate. Yeah. And who aided and embedded and allowed their open border to sustain and nurture the Islamic State for the duration of its existence? And then the Kurds...
Turkey did. There was a free flow of foreign fighters from Europe, even the United States, transiting through Turkey into Syria and Iraq to join and fight with ISIS.
Tens of thousands.
And Erdogan looked the other way. The Turks looked the other way.
Absolutely. Tens of thousands of foreign fighters poured into Iraq and Syria. How'd they get in? They got in through Turkey. The wounded were brought out through Turkey. Funds were brought in through Turkey. Arms were brought in through Turkey. Turkey meddled with opposition forces that were trying to stem the flow of it, and Turkey got in the way of it. In many ways, Turkey was one of the greatest champions of the Islamic State. Yet they're a member of NATO. And you have the Kurdish forces that actually eliminated the territorial caliphate, and now Erdogan is attacking the forces that eliminated ISIS, which means it's pretty clear what's happening right now.
He's viciously anti-Israel, not very fond of the West either. Tell us more about Erdogan and why he is such a dangerous player here in the region.
There's a lot of reasons why he's a dangerous player, but he believes that he has this prophetic role to play as the leader, as the restorer of the caliphate.
The Ottoman Empire.
What we need to understand is that the caliphate, the Islamic empire that existed for over a millennium, was dismantled at the end of World War I. And he believes that it's the restoration of that empire. So even when he talks about Kurdistan, he's speaking about the territorial boundaries of the Ottoman Empire, of the Caliphate, and he believes it's his role to restore it to the glory days.
And so people at home understand, Turkey was the base, the headquarters of that Ottoman Empire, and Erdogan, it seems, Dalton, sees himself as the modern day, as you said, the modern day caliph or leader of what he believes will be a new caliphate.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's driven by the same, let's say, genocidal tendencies and ambitions as many before him, like Saddam Hussein. Now, Saddam Hussein committed genocide against the Kurds here. Approximately somewhere between 150 to 180,000 people were systematically targeted, ethnically cleansed, terrorized, killed, massacred, thrown into graves alive, chemical attacks. I mean, this was a decade-long systematic campaign to annihilate the Kurdish people that the only thing close to it is the kind of things that the Jewish people themselves have experienced, which is why there's this similar experience of the Jewish people and the Kurdish people. The genocides of the past point to the potential of a genocide in the future if we don't wake up and see what's actually happening and what's on the line, because looking ahead and looking what's happening in these here mountains, there's some dark, heavy days coming, and I don't think the Western world is aware of it.
From the Iraq-Turkey border, folks, beautiful scenery here, but danger lurks beyond these mountains. My final thoughts coming up from here in northern Iraq after the break. Don't move.